This is totally unacceptable. The president should take it down and apologize. Pete Ricketts, even if this was a Lion King meme, a reasonable person sees the racist context to this. The White House should do what anyone does when they make a mistake, remove this and apologize. Mike Lawler, wrong, incredibly offensive. Whether intentional or a mistake, it should be deleted immediately with an apology offered. Doug High, this seems to be a remarkable new reality for Republicans, but it seems to underscore Elliott's point, which is, like, I mean, anyone with two eyes can see this.
Look, the reality is they've always seen the tweets. They just don't want to admit to seeing them.
Yeah.
This is so soul-crushingly racist that you can't hide from it. And there may be caveats. You pray that it's fake. The president can't take it down if it's fake, obviously. We know how bad this is, and it comes in a long time of context, as you played with the video from The View and other shows. I remember being in HC5 in the basement of the Capitol at House Republican Conference meeting, and Louis Gohmert, to be clear, one of the leading morons of our generation politically, started making Kenya jokes. And it got eye rolls and groans, but that wasn't enough. And John Boehner told him to shut up and sit down, and even that's not enough because this stuff never goes away. There's also a political problem with this. If you're a Republican, if you're Richard Hudson at the NRCC and you're trying to get your better and smarter candidates through the primary and you're trying to coach them on how to talk about things that matter to Americans every day, prices, jobs, the economy, here comes Donald Trump yet effing again as a one-man wrecking ball, stopping Republicans from doing what they should do to win elections and save the House of Representatives if you want to help Donald Trump not get impeached and everything else that could happen in the last 2 years of his primary. It makes no sense at all.
Thank you for that, Doug. One other sort of piece we have here is how this is breaking through.
Now growing outrage from Democrats and even some Republicans after President Trump shared a racist video on social media depicting former President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes, monkeys in a jungle.
Moments ago, Trump ally Tim Scott, the only black Republican currently serving in the Senate, called on the president to remove the post, writing, quote, "It's the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House." Let's go live now to CNN's Kevin Liptek at the White House. Kevin, how is the administration responding to this post by the president?
Well, the White House is essentially trying to downplay it, but I think that response from Tim Scott is so interesting. You know, so often the reflexive move by the president's Republican allies in these kinds of situations is to essentially say that they hadn't seen what the president posted, to say that they were sort of begging off any response. Tim Scott, of course, the only black Republican in the Senate, very much castigating the president here, saying that it was the most racist thing that he's ever seen out of this White House and saying that the president should remove it. So really not mincing any words whatsoever.
We're an open forum. Any public policy or political issue, news of the day. John in New Mexico, Republican.
Hello, is that me?
That's you.
Oh, my word. I am a registered Republican. My dad was the president of American Pipeliners Association, so I came by it rather naturally. Voted for the president, supported him, but I really want to apologize. I mean, I'm looking at this awful picture of the Obamas. What an embarrassment to our country. All this man does is tell lies. He is not worthy of the presidency. He takes bribes blatantly, and now he's being a racist blatantly. They were supposed to deport the dangerous criminals. They were not supposed to go after small children, storm schools, bring terror upon, the little kids and the women and children, not just the immigrants in the school. All the children are scared. This is not a decent man. This is not an honest man. He openly takes bribes. He's pathetic as a president, and I just want to apologize to everybody in the country for supporting this rotten man.
John, did you vote for him in all three elections?
I did. I was sucked into the stupidity of creating jobs, and there are no more jobs in New Mexico. Things are worse than they were before. You cannot find a primary care physician. Our governor just passed some laws to try to help. If you are a young physician, we want you in New Mexico. Come here. There's a great need for you.
All right.
And I'll close my call.
John, I've got a lot of people waiting. So let me go to John in Syracuse, New York.
You know, we were talking a little bit earlier in the hour about how all of this happened 6 days into Black History Month, and the complete and lack disregard for how this month resonates with Black and brown people in this country. What's your reaction to both what you heard from the president and from Leader Jeffries? Just because they both framed, I think, this moment very well, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, it is so interesting because it's like we take one step forward and then we take 2 steps back. And that's exactly what we've gotten out of this administration. And so for everyone that wanted to say that Black people were overreacting or that we were being dramatic, I want to be clear that it's not just his words, it's in his policy that he is slinging this type of hate, whether we're talking about ICE and how he deals with everyone, because it's not limited to immigrants, or whether we're talking about the rolling back of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I do want to be clear. You know, I don't give Donald Trump a lot of credit for much, but I will say this. He is the king of distractions and division. And right now, he has everyone talking about the fact that he posted something that was racist, which frankly, if you've been paying attention, it was right on par. You're not surprised whatsoever. Right. At the same time, this is the day after he said, stop talking about the Epstein files, as more and more is coming out, as we're being told as lawmakers that we're going to be given an opportunity to start to physically go and inspect the files. He is trying to distract, and frankly, he is doing a good job of it. We know who he is. We know who he was when he got elected the first time. We know who he was when he got elected this time. And so there's not really much to be surprised about when it comes to Donald Trump and not really having a level of respect specifically for people of color.
There's a level of respect. There's also the bravery to stand behind what he has said and done. Take a look at the President of the United States dodging questions on this very issue. Won't apologize. Just walk away. Just wave. I know it doesn't surprise you.
Fast. Oh my God.
Walk away,
He's moving fast,
man,
Congressman. And here's the thing that we're talking about. It's not just in the rhetoric. It's in the policy, as you said. I mean, I'm thinking about little Liam Ramos and his bunny hat and the fact that a nation has rallied around the image of this child as humanizing something that we often talk about simply in numbers. You have Trump's DHS pushing to expedite the removal of Liam and his family. What does that tell you about what their objective here and politically how they are reading this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we have to guess because they have been very overt with their words, not just Trump, but J.D. Vance. It has been kind of this, we don't have to hide anymore. We are the ones that are being targeted, we being white people, right? There is a lack of respect for the contributions that all of us make to this country. Whether you are Black Americans who did not arrive because we wanted to be here, but because we were dragged over here and stolen from our homeland. Or whether you are immigrants that are simply seeking refuge and a better life for yourself and seeking asylum, or whether it's just a matter of opportunities, because we used to have it where we felt like contributions from other people actually helped us. And frankly, the numbers bear out that they do. Whether we're talking about the contributions that are paid in taxes, whether we're talking about the contributions that overall just keep our economy going. Right now, we know that this economy is shrinking, and there's a lot of reasons that it's shrinking. But honestly, a big part of it has to do with the disastrous way that they are handling immigration.
Republicans at this point appear to be heading for the exits, and they are doing so openly and in full public view. Typically, when situations like this unfold, Democrats will come forward and say something along the lines of, and this is not offered as an excuse or a justification, statements such as, you wouldn't believe what Republicans say to me privately, like when we're having lunch or chatting in hallways or restrooms away from the media. They'll explain that when there are no cameras, no microphones, and conversations are off the record, Republicans often describe Trump as reckless, unhinged, a threat to democracy, or simply an unpleasant person to deal with. They admit these views in private, but they refuse to say them directly to Donald Trump, and they certainly won't say them on camera or into a microphone. What makes this moment different is that Republicans are now doing exactly that in public. That is how damaging this monkey video is. It is severe, and it is severe in a way that is immediately understood by everyone. This is not comparable to some of the more recent racial dog whistles associated with the Republican Party, which are often rooted in newer stereotypes and coded language. Those forms are frequently driven by younger right-wing figures, including J.D. Vance-type politicians and their teenage or 20-something supporters, using language and signals that many older Americans may not fully recognize. This is not an excuse, but rather an acknowledgement that these represent newer methods of communicating prejudice. By contrast, portraying people of African descent as primates or monkeys is an extremely old form of racism. It is not limited to the United States, though it certainly exists here as well. There is no plausible argument that this stereotype applies elsewhere, but not in America, or vice versa. This has been widely documented. Professional athletes have had banana peels thrown at them and monkey noises directed at them. It has occurred at soccer matches in Europe, at sporting events in the United States, and even in Canada, where African-Canadian hockey players have experienced banana peels thrown onto the ice. This is a well-known and deeply established racist trope. Even older Republican senators and members of Congress understand this. When their parents were alive, when Jim Crow laws were still in place, people of that era knew exactly what this symbolism meant. As Jim Crow was dismantled, this behavior was cited repeatedly as a clear example of racism. There is no plausible defense here. There is no way out of this for Donald Trump. People are going to abandon him. What makes this moment different is that Republicans are now doing exactly that in public. That is how damaging this monkey video is. It is severe, and it is severe in a way that is immediately understood by everyone. This is not comparable to some of the more recent racial dog whistles associated with the Republican Party, which are often rooted in newer stereotypes and coded language. Those forms are frequently driven by younger right-wing figures, including J.D. Vance-type politicians and their teenage or 20-something supporters, using language and signals that many older Americans may not fully recognize. This is not an excuse, but rather an acknowledgement that these represent newer methods of communicating prejudice. By contrast, portraying people of African descent as primates or monkeys is an extremely old form of racism. It is not limited to the United States, though it certainly exists here as well. There is no plausible argument that this stereotype applies elsewhere, but not in America, or vice versa. This has been widely documented. Professional athletes have had banana peels thrown at them and monkey noises directed at them. It has occurred at soccer matches in Europe, at sporting events in the United States, and even in Canada, where African-Canadian hockey players have experienced banana peels thrown onto the ice. This is a well-known and deeply established racist trope. Even older Republican senators and members of Congress understand this. When their parents were alive, when Jim Crow laws were still in place, people of that era knew exactly what this symbolism meant. As Jim Crow was dismantled, this behavior was cited repeatedly as a clear example of racism. There is no plausible defense here. There is no way out of this for Donald Trump. People are going to abandon him.